Hey guys, it's Mike Man WBA here, back again with the second episode of the Guerrilla Warfare series with PWG. Obviously, missed a week of uploading, or 2 weeks of uploading really, due to illness that I had. I had a really bad cold for a week really, I still haven't got rid of it, so apologies if I sniff or cough during this video. But it's mostly gone, and I want to get this video out there, because we have obviously, like I said, missed a week or two of uploading, so I want to get back into it. This episode's going to be a special double episode. You're going to get Night 2 and Night 3 of BOLA in the same episode, just to make up for that missed episode from last week. So you get 2 today, and then should be hopefully back to normal starting next week with both Progress and the PWG series. So, let's get straight into Night 2 of BOLA, where in front of 300 people at the American Legion post number 308 in Reseda, California, we start off with Donovan Dijak defeating Joey Janela in 10 minutes and 18 seconds by pinfall with a reverse Death Valley driver. Dijak debuting his old school face gimmick, getting a below average unfortunately, and Joey Janela getting an awful fun babyface gimmick. Donovan Dijak getting an in-ring performance of 18 to Joey Janela's 29. So probably not going to get the 5-star match out of Donovan Dijak and Keith Lee that we did in they did in real life. But a 27E to kick us off, which isn't great. But Donovan Dijak very underrated in these mods. Following that, I did kind of spoil it just. But in a decent match, Keith Lee defeats Volta in 9 minutes and 28 by pinfall with a power slam. Keith Lee's badass gimmick unfortunately getting an initial rating of poor, but he got an in-ring performance of 36 to Walter's 34. No worker improvements, but a 36 D- match. Slightly better than the previous one, not the best, but it'll do for the guys involved. Following that, the villain Marty Skrull defeats David Starr in 12 minutes and 52 seconds by pinfall. David Starr's legitimate athlete gimmick got an above average. He got an in-ring performance of 40 to Marty Skrull's impressive 51, giving us a 48 D+ match rating overall. After that, we had just a match to break up the tournament action, where the team of the best friends, Trent Beretta and Chuck Taylor, defeated Matt Sydal and Ricochet in 14 minutes and 8 seconds when Chuck Taylor defeats Matt Sydal by pinfall with a soul food. Trent unfortunately off his game, but still getting a higher performance with a 46 than our current champion in Chuck Taylor with a 44. Ricochet getting a 68 and Matt Sydal getting a 62. For a 63 C match rating overall, which is very impressive. I'm happy with that. 4 of our main guys, really, I would say. 4 like main eventers or upper mids. So not a bad match at all. Following that, we're back to the tournament action with another great match where Ray Phoenix defeats Ray Horus in 12 minutes and 37 seconds by pinfall with a Meteora. Unfortunately, Ray Phoenix was really off his game and tiring towards the end. Despite only being a 12.5 minute match, we did tell him to go all out, and he did look to be struggling at the end. Horus's Thrill Seeker gimmick got a great, and Ray Phoenix got an in-ring performance of 38 to Ray Horus's 56. Ray Horus improving in his performance skills, getting a 55 C- match overall. So very impressive for 2 guys that aren't really at the top of the card. We have got one of our tag team champions in there, and a debuting wrestler in Ray Horus. So I'm happy with a 55C for that. Following that match, in a bout that had decent wrestling but not a lot of heat, Travis Banks, the Kiwi Buzzsaw, defeats Jack Evans in 12 minutes and 43 by pinfall with an airplane slam. Travis Banks' old school face gimmick getting an average. Match dragged a little in the middle, lack of flow being noticeable, so maybe a bit of psychology needed. But Jack Evans getting an in-ring performance of 46 and Travis Banks getting a 39. Travis Banks, with the first improvement of the night, improving his performance skills, getting a 38 D- for that match. So not the best match for a semi-main event. Probably should have swapped that with the two high flyers. But not too bad in the grand scheme of things. And our main event of the evening, in a bout that had good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd. Two of last year's finalists, I believe. I think Zack Sabre Jr. won it last year. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I think it was him, Trevor Lee, and Will Ospreay in the final. Or was it Skrull? No, it was Skrull. Skrull, Trevor Lee, and Will Ospreay. But Zack Sabre Jr., I believe, was maybe champion last time round. So our previous champion and a previous runner-up of the tournament, previous champion, Zack Sabre Jr. comes out on top, defeating Trevor Lee in 14 minutes and 43 by submission with a senior stretch. Trevor Lee getting an in-ring performance of 41, Zack Sabre Jr. getting a very impressive 68. No worker improvements, unfortunately, but we finish off with a 63C. So as we end the show, we get a 61C overall for that show, so I'm happy with that. We had 3 standout matches from that show, that being the tag match, Ray Phoenix versus Ray Horus and Zack Sabre Jr. and Trevor Lee. The other matches, unfortunately, not the best, but there's a lot of new guys, or a lot of guys that are slightly lower down the card in this tournament, so it's not too bad at the end of things, and when we're still going to show ratings of 60s, there's not too much to complain about. But after that, we are going to congratulate Zack Sabre Jr., Marty Scurll, and Ricochet on their performances. Probably 3 of the top guys in the company. They're all pleased with that. So we go into day 3 of Battle of Los Angeles, where we have 6 quarter-final matches, 3 semi-final matches, the final, so 10 matches of tournaments still to go, and probably a tag team match or 2 in there as well, and of course the classic 5v5 match that goes before the main event. So I'll see you guys in a minute for the final day of the Battle of Los Angeles. Okay guys, we are back with night 3 of the Battle of Los Angeles. We're going to get straight in because it's quite a stacked show for night 3, and we don't want this episode to go too long, so we're going to get straight in to the action, where again at night 3, in front of another sold out crowd at the American Legion post number 308, as you would expect, we kick off with our first quarterfinal match, where Mr. Athletic Jeff Cobb defeats Mark Haskins in 10 minutes and 13 seconds by pinfall with a flipping body slam. Got the show off to a strong start. Jeff Cobb getting a 51, Mark Haskins getting a 54. Cobb improving in his performance skills for a very, very nice 57 C- match rating to kick off day 3, or night 3. So a very impressive kick off to the third day. Very happy with that from Cobb and Haskins, and Cobb picks up the win, heading to the quarterfinals, the semi-finals, and he will be facing his Chosen Bros tag partner Matt Riddle, who defeats Penta Al Zero M in 12 minutes and 28 seconds by submission with a guillotine choke. Unfortunately, both Riddle and Penta were both really off their game, getting a 38 and a 54 in-ring performance respectively. No worker improvements, but a 51 D+ match rating isn't too bad considering they were both off the game. It's still a good rating. If either of them were on the game, obviously it would have been a bit better, but can't complain with a 51 D+. And Matt Riddle will face Jeff Cobb in the first, I think it's the first semi-final. Following on from that, in a decent match, Ricochet defeats Desmond Xavier in 12 minutes and 8 seconds by pinfall with a standing shooting star press. Unfortunately, Ricochet also really off his game, getting the same performance rating as Desmond Xavier, which is a 49. A 53 C- match rating isn't too bad, especially considering it was two 49 in-ring performances. But it's a good match. And in the semi-final, Ricochet will be facing Rey Fenix, when in a good match, Rey Fenix defeats Zack Sabre Jr. in 14 minutes and 8 seconds by pinfall with a Meteora. A great result for Rey Fenix, picking up the win there over the previous champion. Rey getting an in-ring performance of 52 to Zack Sabre Jr.'s 54, with a 53 C- match rating overall. And then for the final, to go into the final semi-final match, I should say, and about that had decent reaction from the crowd, but subpar wrestling. Keith Lee defeats Donovan Dijak in 9 minutes and 12 seconds by pinfall with a power slam. They have pretty good chemistry and it lifted the match. Dijak getting a 23, Keith Lee getting a 35. No work improvements. Unfortunately, not quite the 5-star match they had in real life, but instead a 33 E+ for that. Like, not the best, but it could have been a lot worse. They had good chemistry, which lifted it. I would have liked a little bit more, but Keith Lee goes through to the third semi-final, where he will be facing off against the villain Marty Scurll, who defeats Travis Banks in 12 minutes and 50 seconds by pinfall with a quick roll-up after Travis Banks was starting to take control. Marty with an in-ring performance of 47, Travis Banks with a 37, no work improvements unfortunately, but a 42D match rating for our final quarter-final match. So we have a semi-finals of Jeff Cobb versus Matt Riddle, Ricochet versus Rey Fenix, and Marty Scurll versus Keith Lee. As we head into our next match, which is out of the competition, it's just a little match to break up the tournament action, where in a 4-way match, Dalton Castle defeats Andrew Everett, Timothy Thatcher, and Will Ospreay in 14 minutes and 29 seconds, when Dalton Castle defeats Andrew Everett by pinfall with a bangarang. These 4 guys were pretty much the only people that didn't make it into the tournament on the roster. It's these 4 guys, Sammy Guevara and Candice LeRae, I believe, and the Young Bucks as well, but the Young Bucks didn't want to put them in singles action. So there's 8 people overall on the roster. These 4, Candice LeRae, Sammy Guevara, and the Young Bucks are pretty much the only 8. I can't do. My brain is fried. That's what illness does to you, folks. Kills your brain. There were some people that didn't make it in the tournament. I forgot about Trent as well. So there was a couple of people that didn't make it into the tournament. These 4 guys haven't been used yet, so they came in for a fatal 4-way. Dalton Castle picks up the win on Andrew Everett. Dalton Castle debuting his fun babyface gimmick. He got a very good, so I'm happy with that. Everett got an in-ring performance of 40, Dalton Castle got a 44, Timothy Thatcher a 46, and Will Ospreay a 50. No worker improvements, but a 46D, not bad for a little fun match to break up the tournament. And Dalton Castle picking up the win. Following that, we go into our first semi-final match, where in a decent match, Mr. Athletic Jeff Cobb defeats Matt Riddle in 12 minutes and 24 seconds by pinfall with a flipping body slam. Jeff Cobb getting an in-ring performance of 47, Matt Riddle getting a 48, which I believe was a big jump from what he got earlier in the night, if I remember correctly. I might be getting that wrong. I feel like he got a 30 something, like a 38 against Penta. I'm not sure. But Jeff Cobb defeats his tag team partner to progress to the final of BOLA 2018. That says 2018. It's 2017. Don't know why that says 2018. But Jeff Cobb reaches the final in a 47D match. Not too bad. 2 mid-carders really, Cobb and Riddle. But Cobb getting through to his first final of the Battle of Los Angeles. Following that, our second semi-final match. In a bout that had good heat and decent wrestling, Ricochet defeats Rey Fenix in 11 minutes and 43 seconds by pinfall with a diving double knee drop. Ricochet and Rey Fenix both Oh no, sorry. Ray Phoenix was tiring towards the end. Ricochet unfortunately off his game again. Ricochet with an in-ring performance of 40 to Ray Phoenix's 51. No work improvements to comment upon, but a 51D plus, not the worst match rating in the world. And Ricochet reaches his second final, maybe his third final. But Ricochet reaches the final where he will be facing Jeff Cobb, and the winner of this final match, and in a decent match, Keith Lee defeats Marty Scurll in 11:47 by pinfall of a power slam to progress to the final. Keith Lee getting an in-ring performance of 38, Marty Scurll getting a 39. Marty also improving his rumble skills. So we have a final of Jeff Cobb, Keith Lee and Ricochet. But before we get into that match, we have our 5v5 sort of warm-up, just to give these guys a little bit of a break. And I'm surprised by this, actually. In a decent match, it's night 2 losers versus night 1 losers, with Flamita and Jack Evans missing out. But in a decent match, the team of David Starr, Joey Janela, Ray Horus, Trevor Lee and Volta defeated the team of Brian Cage, Joey Ryan, Michael Elgin, Sami Callihan and Matt Sydal in 13 minutes and 29 seconds, when Ray Horus defeats Joey Ryan by pinfall with a super hurricanrana. Joey Janela was the weak link, unfortunately, struggling to keep up with everyone else's in-ring performance, as Volta got a 37, Trevor Lee got a 45, Ray Horus got a 55, Joey Janela a 23, David Starr a 39, Matt Sydal a 62, Sami Callihan a 50, Michael Elgin a 56, Joey Ryan a 50, and Brian Cage an impressive 57. So Brian Cage, of all those people, getting the highest in-ring performance, Matt Sydal got the highest in-ring performance, Brian Cage the second highest. Matt Sydal improving his rumble skills, Sami Callihan improving his technical skills, David Starr improving his flying skills, and Joey Janela improving his performance skills. And overall, that match getting us a 56 C-, which I'm very impressed by. Wasn't expecting that 10-man match to do it as well. And following that, we go into the final of the Battle of Los Angeles 2017, which I didn't do the title for, I've just remembered, but we'll do that after, where in a decent match, Ricochet defeats Jeff Cobb and Keith Lee in an elimination match in 14 minutes and 14 seconds. Keith Lee being eliminated first and then followed up by Jeff Cobb. In terms of in-ring performance, Ricochet was head and shoulders above everyone else, and unfortunately Keith Lee was the weak link. Jeff Cobb getting a 42, Keith Lee getting a 30, and Ricochet getting a 51. No work improvements, and a disappointing, really. A 48D plus to end off night 3, the main event. 48D plus, not the best, but Keith Lee and Cobb, they're two big guys. They've had a lot of matches already, and they're sort of mid-card talent at the moment. Ricochet's a main eventer, that's why he's got slightly higher than the others. But a 48D plus isn't the best, but isn't the worst for the main event. And following that, Ricochet, he's celebrating his win. He squares up to Chuck Taylor, who's been on commentary for the entire tournament. He's been at ringside. Ricochet and Chuck Taylor square up in a 32E plus, which means we end the show with a 49D plus. So not as good as the other shows, unfortunately, the other nights. But a very solid show overall. All the ratings in and around each other. The best match of the night actually being the opener between Cobb and Haskins. And then these two matches, Ricochet Xavier and Ray Phoenix versus Zack Sabre Jr. being up there as well. So we'll make our speech. We'll congratulate Ricochet on... In fact, we'll just do all of the finals. All of the finalists, just because of how many matches they had to have and how many minutes they wrestled for, basically. We'll thank them all for their performances. as we end the show, eventually, we have a couple of unread emails, which we'll quickly look at. Just Volta has left PWG, his loan has ended, and a lot of people asking for a rest. But they will get that because our next show will be at the end of October, and I think it says here the Perils of Rock and Roll Decadence, but it won't be. It will be All-Star Weekend, which I believe is the next show in real life at the end of October. It's a 2-day show. So I'll see you guys in the next episode for day 1 and 2, or just day 1 probably. We'll split it in half. Day 1 of All-Star Weekend will be next week. So thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys soon.